Warning: the views and opinions expressed in this program are our own and/or those of our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of our employers. Viewers' discretion is advised.
It should be thought-provoking, and it should help you also really evaluate internally, like, am I thinking about all the pieces the right way? And are we looking at the right growth opportunity the right way?
It keeps you accountable. It keeps you on track. And you can look back and say, hey, did I follow my business plan?
Sometimes a deal is borderline and they're looking for a feasibility study because of that. When we come across a deal that we're not sure about, if it's, borderline, we pick up the phone and we involve the bank and we say, I'm really sorry. There's someone at my front door and he's like ringing. Okay, wait, hang on. He might be going away. Okay, he went away. But I left my front door unlocked because my girlfriend's supposed to be coming over. And so I was just like, oh my God, there's a stranger at my door and my front door is unlocked. And he's just like right there. Okay, I'm back.
You're going to have an unexpected special guest today. Watching Bethany get robbed on camera.
All of a sudden, there's just like a blanket of chloroform in her face, whatever the hell it's called.
Not at Neptune Beach. That's what you paid for there.
We kind of live in a nice neighborhood where we left our doors locked on many trips, unlocked on many trips. But whatever.
I can't. Not in Syracuse. You
Oops.
can't.
No, not in the Q's.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the BDO Show, a podcast for passionate BDOs wanting to level up their game with advice and stories from battle-tested BDOs. I'm your co-host, Emily Detor, and I'm here with my fellow co-host, Ryan Kroge, and back from a little bit of a hiatus, Alan Peterson. At the beginning of each episode, we're always going to remind you to like, subscribe, and share with your friends, coworkers, and anyone in your network. And don't forget to check out our whole family of shows, SBA Today, which airs live every week, as well as our flagship program, the Art of SBA Lending Podcast.
BDOs. Have you ever had a borrower bring in like a brother-in-law to do their life insurance? Doesn't end well, does it? We've all been there. When you require life insurance on your SBA loan, it's critical that you bring in a company that specializes in getting these policies in place for the SBA loans. The last thing you want is for life insurance to be the holdup. We all know that's a rookie mistake. SBA Protection Quick Close Life Insurance is the fastest, easiest way to secure the insurance protection that your borrower needs for their SBA loan. Their process is simple, hassle-free, and only takes a few minutes of your borrower's time. No lengthy paperwork, no complicated forms. They even have programs that don't require labs or doctor records for approval. And best of all, you will have the collateral assignment back in less than 24 hours. It's a no-brainer. Go to sbaprotection.com for more information or email Adam Bergen at adam@sbaprotection.com.
Today, we have one of our very good friends, best friends, colleagues, sponsors on the show, and we are so excited to have Bethany McClellan with Rapid Business Plans. Bethany, why don't you go ahead and intro everybody that has never heard of you, which is probably not the case.
Sure. My company, Rapid Business Plans, I started it over 10 years ago. And about 5 years ago, I brought on my husband, Ross, who some of you may be familiar with. We write business plans and feasibility studies for companies that are getting SBA and USDA loans. So we get to work with our lender partners like Alan and Ryan all the time, and we're excited about that.
And we travel to conferences together. We go to dinners. It's more than just working with each other.
Yeah.
We're all friends, which is awesome. Let's go ahead and get into the episode. I want to kind of talk about your background, Bethany. It's not SBA, it's not finance. It is biology from Florida State University. How did you transition from biology into business consulting? And can you sort of share some inspiration behind Rapid Business Plans?
So I had, climbed the corporate ladder and had a really good sales job at my last, corporate type job. And I became engaged to a guy and he asked me to quit my job and come work for his small businesses. And so I sold everything and got engaged to this guy and worked for his companies and really proud of the work that I did with his businesses and really got, a handle on, how small business finance works. And then we split up and I was like, oh dear, I have, canceled my whole life here. And so I started a company and my consulting company, and I started doing hourly consulting, helping small businesses improve their financial performance. And I had a lot of, people that I had worked alongside before asked me to solve problems for them in their businesses. And that was really successful. And then very early on in my networking group, our business banker asked me if I knew how to write a business plan. And I never had before, but I did it. And I pulled an all-nighter actually before the deadline. And they loved it. And I said, I'll never do that again. But then Jeannie Yoder, who was the SBA officer for that deal, she came up and took me out to lunch, and she said that she needed me to keep doing this, and so I did.
Was
Jeannie's
it scary?
awesome, by the
Was
way.
it
Yeah,
Shout outs Jeannie Yoder.
love Jeannie. She's been like my, yeah, fairy godmother.
are you
She's
the ty
awesome.
are you the type that's like, you like to be thrown to the walls, you like to just kinda dive in and handle it?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, I've always kinda liked, I always liked doing research papers. I was always kinda good at, like, school-related stuff. So this was just like, honestly, even when I was in school, people paid me to do their homework and stuff like that. So it's kinda what I do now, you know what I mean? So,
It is
I
the
kinda
same exact thing.
yeah, it's the kind of work that I kind of enjoy. And, along the way, I've been able to recruit people that, are a little peculiar and like writing business plans as well. So,
I actually sort of skipped a step before we got sort of into the questioning. Alan, why don't you talk about when we introduce a company like Rapid into the SBA loan process?
I mean, personally, what I like about using Rapid specifically is that they give the plan in a format that makes sense. They tell the story very well. The projections are coherent, and all of this is done after an intake call, right? So they're working with the buyer, they're talking and explaining their story in a way that's, telling it the way that the bank wants to see it as far as the flow of the final deliverable and how it kind of translates to the credit memorandum. You know what I mean? So that's something that I always kind of share with my clients very early on. I let them know, like, hey, here's our checklist. It's going to be coming your way. We've got the term sheet out. We get the term sheet in. We're talking about next steps. Right away, I just let them know that we're going to need a significant business plan and projections. It's a bigger piece of the puzzle than some people really realize. And the last thing that we want, forget about what I want, right? Is really about my chief credit officer and my signing authorities. What they want is something that's coherent. They do not want chat GPT slop. And, the fact is, I use AI for all sorts of things. It's amazing, but I just feel that you'd be doing yourself a disservice to put the outcome of a life-changing event um, in the hands of AI, right? Because it's kind of hard
It's
if a business plan
unauthentic.
stinks. Yeah, right. And you're not really telling the story the right way. The flow doesn't make sense. What's nice is I only do business acquisition financing. So they'll get into the history of the business, the history of the buyer, exactly why that makes sense, and what their plans are for growth, where are those opportunities, and all of that. It does save time because a lot of folks that I work with, ultimately, what they want is to not have to do that themselves. They're paying Bethany to do their homework yet again. So when we get that homework, we know that we're going to get an A plus, right? The rest of the deal, we got to make sure we're good before we get there. But I wouldn't have given a term sheet unless I've already, as Kroge always beats into my head, structure, 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 because that's how you show value as a BDO, right? So once we're that far along, we have that piece of the puzzle. So it saves you time in actually completing the checklist. And then additionally, what's often overlooked is it can save time in underwriting. If the business plan answers a lot of the questions up front, well, there's less back and forth in the
Major
process,
lift for
which results to a
underwriting.
shorter timeline. So that's kind of why I use them. And to answer the question directly, it's been a while since I've been on this show. I forgot that I'm supposed to answer questions and not just talk about whatever I want while I'm flying on coffee and Pepto Bismol after a couple days in uh Mexico. Hola. Yeah, so like that's kind of like the deal there. I mean, get them involved early, just like any of my providers. I'm talking life insurance early. I'm talking commercial liability insurance and other small business related insurances early. That way, people know how to get their ducks in a row, and sooner is always better than later. The same folks that take forever to give me a lousy business plan in an MS Word doc that they copied and pasted from ChatGPT are the same people that want to know when we're closing before the initial checklist is complete. So do yourself a favor, get your folks involved early, and shout outs to Rapid Business Plans, who is my preferred provider, and anyone that I work with will tell you the same.
You guys, I do want to point out that even though we are doing some of this homework for our clients, that we do include coaching on the business plan. So not everyone takes us up on that, but we do, tell the client how we arrived at our numbers and things like that. And then some clients have more input than others too. So just want to point
And
that
let's
out.
not forget that a business plan. So, as lenders, as BDOs, we refer business plans. We require business plans. The SBA requires business plans on 98% of every transaction you're going to do. So you're going to have to get one done one way or another. And the best way to do that is have a professional put it together. Because let's face it, like Al says, our credit managers and our signing authorities like them. They get a lot of information from them. But business plans aren't just a one and done thing. I try to
Right.
coach everybody who's buying a business especially if you're buying a business for the first time. I don't care how long you plan on having that business. You should revisit and redo your business plan every single year because your emission statement changes, the way you want to run your business changes, your projections need adjusting, and it's a good blueprint for you to operate your business for the next year,
Yeah.
right? Because the business plan you put together when you first bought the business is significantly going to change once you have that first year under your belt. And it's going to change even more after 5 and 10 years. I know customers of mine that have owned a business for 20 plus years and they still update their business plan every single year. It keeps you accountable, it keeps you on track, and you can look back and see, hey, did I follow my business plan? Did I follow the advice that I wanted to give myself to take myself to the next level in the next year?
That's a great point. You know what's something else too, right? I'm wondering how you feel about this. And, Bethany, obviously you too, that's your world, but I always feel like an effective business plan, when you really are doing pen to paper, it should spur thought about things that you maybe didn't consider originally. You know what I mean? I think that the exercise should include some things like when you're going through that discovery call, should you be going that route, it should be thought provoking and it should help you also really evaluate internally, like, am I thinking about all the pieces the right way? And are we looking at the right growth opportunity the right way? And projections are projections, right? Sterling says, the only thing right about projections is that they're wrong, right? But as long as we can make a base case that's it's on planet Earth, let's think about those ways that you're really going to grow the business. A year later, to your point, Ryan, it's like 3 years later, man, I came in here saying I was going to expand into HVAC as I've been in plumbing for a while. We see a lot of that, right? I never even did that. But what I am getting into is drain clogging or rooter services. Maybe I should think about other ways to expand that. And I don't know. I just feel like it should be what's the right word? Bethany, you're much smarter than I am. What is like the active, like it's an active thinking, right? It's like an active exercise. It's not like a passive, like, my name is Alan. I'm from the proud coal mining region of Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Shout outs Vesuvio Sports Bar and Grill on North Main Street. Air horn. So, like, it needs to be more dynamic. It needs to be an active exercise. It's not a book report necessarily. If you're interested in book reviews, make sure you follow Bethany on LinkedIn. She's currently reading one book a week.
Ooh, one
Myself,
book a
not so
week.
much. I'm more of an R.L. Stein guy, but that's me.
I saw her
Wine me,
reading
dine me,
said
R.L.
book in
Stein me.
Mexico.
I'm more of a books on audio. I like to do
Yeah.
that during the day. I'll
I do
listen to a
audiobooks
book
too. I do
while
some
I'm
audiobooks on
replying to
audio.
emails, while I'm analyzing stuff. I like to
Yeah.
listen to books
I was
more
having this
than
conversation
reading.
with someone the other day about books. The only thing that I agree with audiobooks and being able to, like, if you're traveling in a car or listening to a podcast, that's great. But books remind you to slow down and sit and read and like take a couple minutes to yourself because when you're listening, now I'm vacuuming and doing dishes and doing laundry and I'm not really focusing on the book. So
But Emily, I have ADD. I can't sit and focus.
yeah,
I
that
got to
is
do
very
like 100
true.
different things at once. And then when I'm not paying attention, I got to re-listen to that chapter again because I was too busy staring at the squirrels out of my window eating out this feeder that
That's not
has a
the
unicorn
ADD.
head.
That's the age, Kroge. That's your
That's the
age.
age. Is that
It's
what
the
it is?
age.
I'm getting senile in my old age. Can't remember
um,
anything
Burn,
anymore.
it's a burn.
Bethany, did you want to, or you said everything you guys do? Like, I wanted you to kind of like elaborate on everything that you do because you were talking about coaching that not a lot of
Yeah,
people
because
take
it's
you
more
up
than just
on.
business plans,
It is
right?
more. It's way more.
Sure, sure. So we include 36 months of monthly profit and loss balance sheet and cash flow projections along with the written assumptions. And, a lot of times, our borrowers will think of those revenue assumptions as like sales goals that they need to hit. And then we also do the narrative that includes, all the background information that you're looking for on the business. What are our demographic study, competition study? How are the operations of this business and the management going to work? And so we include all the things in a, concise manner that, the underwriters are looking for. A couple other things that we provide are feasibility studies. And so a lot of those are going to be for your ground up construction deals. We've done those for USDA as well as SBA, different programs among both 7A and 504. You see a lot of those with commercial real estate too. So we do the feasibility studies. The other thing we provide also are export business plans. People are still getting a 90% guarantee on those ITL deals, and we provide a really specialized report that helps get those done. We can also do a truncated business plan with just projections or just a narrative too.
To kind of put this all together real quick. So I do a lot of gas stations. Okay. And I really won't touch many projection based transactions. They're just way too hard in this economy. They're too difficult with this crop of
For years, SBA lenders have relied on referral sources because, let's be honest, reaching businesses directly is just not how the industry worked. It was too hard to find the right contact info, and when you did, actually getting them to engage felt impossible. When Ray first heard about this, he was skeptical because he gets pitched every single day. But 15 minutes into this demo, he realized something. This could actually work. Resquared lets you reach local business owners at scale in a way that actually works. Ray's been using it for a few months now, and not only is it effective, but it's kind of fun. In just a few minutes a week, he's sending targeted messages to small business owners and getting real conversations started. Like the childcare owner he connected with that was looking to buy their second location with an SBA loan. If you ever considered connecting with small business owners and didn't have the right tool to do it, this is it. Resquared is offering a discount just for BDO Show listeners. So go ahead and schedule your demo today, and we'll leave a link in the show notes for you below.
they're too difficult with this crop of buyers out there. If you have no experience, you don't know what you're doing, I won't touch you. But the one thing I do love about doing startup for gas stations is getting a really good, very strong feasibility study. And I don't want to say they're easy to put together, but there's just so much data out there that can help just catapult your gas station feasibility study with traffic counts,
Yes,
demographics.
absolutely.
I mean, competition, just
Yeah.
everything out there. There's so much data that, when extrapolated correctly by someone that knows what they're doing, analyzed, and then put into a feasibility study, I'll read it from cover to cover, and if it tells me that this is going to be making 8 to 10 million a year in revenues with this profit margin and this because of all these different factors, that's going to make or break whether I think this is a station that I can bring my credit manager or not. And my credit manager also likes feasibility studies, mainly on my gas stations, because that's all I use them for. But I know you can use them for a ton of different industries, ton of different applications.
Wow.
But I just find them significantly helpful for startup gas stations.
Well, and sometimes we're doing feasibility studies, even when the bank, really likes the deal, but they need to like check a box and we're doing feasibility studies for that. Sometimes a deal is borderline and they're looking for a feasibility study because of that. And so, when we come across a deal that we're not sure about, if it's, borderline, we pick up the phone and we involve the bank and we say, hey, listen, this is what we're looking at. If you can adjust maybe some of these things, we feel like this is a workable deal. So, we really get the bank involved. We want the deal to work.
I was going to ask Bethany, is there a type of borrower that you typically work with or specific industries that you specialize in, or is it just sort of everywhere?
No, we specialize in clients that are getting government guaranteed loans. So,
Yeah.
if somebody is getting an SBA or USDA loan, that's a good fit for us. We do the reports that they need to get their deals through underwriting.
Right.
This hasn't come up. So let me bring this up real quick, Bethany. You guys call yourself Rapid Business Plans. Why do you call yourself Rapid Business Plan? Elaborate
Because
on
they're
that a little bit.
slow. No, I was kidding.
Because we do business plans in 4 business days. And honestly, when
Woo!
I was
4
doing the
business
business
days.
plans myself, listen, this is not a brag, but I did 3 business plans in 1 day. That's because I procrastinate, okay? But one time I did 3 business plans in 1 day. I mean, I was like catatonic at the end of it. But listen, this in my day, you could get these business plans done really quickly. But now a 4-day turnaround, people seem to be still impressed with that.
And how many people do you have working for you now? Because it's not just you.
Yeah, we probably have like 37 or 38 folks right now.
Wow. That's
Now,
Yeah.
impressive.
are those all people that you're 38 people, those are all contacts that you got from Fiverr.com, correct, Bethany? I assume these are all people in other countries, so
No,
you're able.
no, no,
Oh,
no.
wait, maybe you can go a little bit deeper into that. Let's wrap it
American
in the
soil.
flag, as they say.
Yep.
How
So
about that?
everybody on our team is US based, and we actually have people in all 4
Mhm.
time zones in the lower 48. We have 1 person in Mountain
Okay.
Time and people on the West Coast as well. So we have people all over the country working for us, but everybody is US based. We actually have a lot of college interns working for us. So
That's
if
great.
you have a kid that's a finance student, send them my way. We'll start
Shout
paying
shout
them.
out Stuart, the intern,
Stuart the
specific.
intern. Oh, yes. Actually, okay. So, Stuart the intern is interviewing. He just graduated and somebody called me for a reference for him. So it looks like he's going to be among the employed now, like with a real job. So,
Oh,
Do
good for
you
him, man. That's awesome.
do you stick people that are in their certain time zones with the borrowers, or is it it's all just like lender based, right? Like it's based on like what the lender gave you. You kind of just divvy them out.
yeah, we just have our systems and processes in place where, we can get this, done within 4 business days. It doesn't really matter. Our people like the flexibility of being able to work anywhere, anytime. So,
I was gonna ask because obviously it just came out last week, but what have you guys had to anticipate the SOP changes, and did you need to update your staff with all of that?
sure. There are some things that came up like for like franchises for the multi-unit, what is it called, guys? The multi-unit
Directory?
development agreements. Yeah, for those
Oh,
things,
yeah.
those aren't
Oh,
allowed anymore.
yeah.
So we had, those in a couple of our business plans that we were working on. And so we had to make some, just some quick changes or whatever. But sure, we've been keeping abreast of that. And also it can be different from bank to bank how they're interpreting these changes too. So we're just keeping in touch with our lenders and, if they're and any of their special instructions that I might have.
We always like to kind of end with advice for new BDOs since this is what the show is all about. If they're trying to engage you, like what part of the process, like when I know you said earlier the better, but like how would you go about it as a new BDO
After
engaging
you
with
get
Redfin?
the deal off the street.
Okay.
Get the
Immediately.
deal off the street first, get them to sign that term sheet, come to an agreement with the structure, and then you hit them with the, "Oh, now you gotta write a business plan." They freak out for a minute, but then you say, "I got a solution for you.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah, I'm
somebody
with
that'll
it. It's
do it for you in 4 days." That's when I do it. I
Yep.
engage right after I get the deal off the street. I give them their small list of items that we need to get underwriting, and one of them is for rapid business plans, and I give them a real convenient link that when they click that link and they talk to Bethany and Ross, I get a tickler about how many I've done for them a year, and then they name a big party at the end of the year after me.
Yeah.
So then I get excited. But
Kroger Palooza.
Kroge Palooza,
Ooh, that
or
one
this
has a
year I
good
hear
ring
it's going
to
to be
it.
Ryan Palooza, so you can celebrate 2 people.
Ryan, who?
Ryan, me, of course. I'm
Oh,
Ryan.
I was like, which Ryan? Sorry. I was like, there's a couple of you
Yeah.
idiots.
I mean, I also don't want to make any spoilers, but Ryan Collins is making a run for Ryan Palooza as well.
Uh, uh,
That's
I
kid,
what
don't
I'm
want
saying. Maybe we
I
can
don't want
share the
anybody
crown.
on this
Just
call to
call it
get,
Ryan Palooza.
too competitive and start sending more.
Ryan
I'm trying
squared.
over here. I'm trying. I mean, like we said before, SBA requires a business plan on every transaction. And when you get that business plan and it's not like the lenders don't read it. All right.
Right.
I know so many buyers that think they can write the business plan themselves. And yeah, they can be pretty sharp, but we write it, read it, and we dig into it. We analyze it. And if you're not hitting everything that we want to see, if you're not pointing out everything that should be pointed out, we're going to kick it back and say, look, you need to rewrite this, especially on projections. You say using Fiverr to buy to hire employees and everything. I swear I've seen projections
Mhm.
I thought were written in rubles. All right, you are not jumping from a $1 million revenue all the way up to 10 million in 2 years. It's
Rubles.
just not happening. Okay. So please, let's just stop that right now. Hire professionals, get coached the right way, get your business plan accepted by every bank out there.
Do you have any either business plan horror stories or any time that Rapid swooped in and saved the day, or both?
That's a good question, and probably Ross would be better to answer that because he remembers stuff like this.
There's a recent example for me. I might have talked to Ross about this. Man, I'll tell you what. So we got a deal in and we got the business plan in. Everything looked really good. We get into underwriting. It moved quickly. I had a really sophisticated buyer. He's in closing now. We set his firm closing date. He's going to be closing the end of this month, which is always great news. He's really organized. One thing he's not though was like he's not willing to go through the motions and waste time On a business plan, when he knows he can get me what I need in 4 days, that's going to save him time in underwriting, right? So we're going in there, but he wanted to, he got his projections, but he actually decided to pivot a little bit of his strategy, right? So I needed projections to be adjusted, right? It wasn't long after they got it. You guys went in and just fixed it. Like it was really remarkable. I emailed Christy on your team, copying Ross, and I'm like, hey, I'm not sure if I'm outside the window, but I have a hunch you might do this as a favor anyway, Ross. Can you please? And sure enough, I mean, it. You guys corrected it like quickly based on his desire. And ultimately, what it was he had a partner that he no longer really needed in the transaction. He was going to put down more than he had to, something I told him from the beginning. I didn't really understand. The cash flow was fine with 10 down. You know what I mean? Like, why bring in somebody else to put in 20? And we can get into all that. But the point is, he came to his senses, but we had carved out money for this individual. So now the projections actually look better that we're not paying the other individual. I wanted to put the best foot forward to underwriting, and we addressed that very quickly. And you guys were able to like do those edits quick. I don't remember if I was in the window or outside the window. I don't suggest that you guys are going to make a habit of doing them outside the window. But Bethany, how long do you have if you review it and you're like, I wish we could talk more about this, less about that. Can we expand upon this? How long do we have to get edits or corrections when the final deliverable is given?
We're pretty flexible on that, and we try to, communicate the value that we offer on that. So we have a firm that will make, changes for 30 days for the client. Like if they, they want to get a Yobi franchise and they decide they're getting a Mochi or something like that. You know what I mean? We'll make those
Yeah.
changes in 30 days. Then throughout the duration of underwriting, if you guys want to see changes, we'll do that throughout the duration of underwriting. It's like maybe when the client comes back to us a year later, and the deal has changed or they're at a different bank or something like that. If we have to do 4 whole new quarters of, financial data, we would not be able to make those changes, without
Yeah.
a commitment.
That's good to know, though. It's good for people to know that as well. And, our audience here is BDOs, right? So I'm going to mirror Kroge because, when I do what Kroge does, I have a better year than the year before. And I'm going to mirror him like quickly. And, the fact is, get it in early, pull the Band-Aid. Don't wait for, after a term sheet, after underwriting, you know, to let someone know that there is a collateral requirement for SBA 7A loans. Don't be that guy or
Yeah,
gal.
don't be that
The
guy.
more Band-Aids and landmines that you can identify earlier, including the need for a robust business plan and projections and the timeline to get those done, the better. Because if you're not able to do that, if you're not able to navigate those seas, you're going to have a hard time. So my advice is just to get it in early while you're having all the hard convos and making all the good introductions. Have you ever had your brother-in-law or somebody try to do life insurance? Let me tell you, it doesn't turn out well. This is no different than that. And with that, I bid you adieu.
Thank you, everybody.
And don't hire anybody else but Rapid Plan.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Or we'll bully you when next time we see you. We're not
That's a
joking.
fact.
That's a fact. Bethany, thank you so much. Ross, you were missed. I hope he listens to this and he is proud of this episode. Everybody, thank you for listening today. Go ahead, like, subscribe, share your topics and suggestions. Send all of your interns and new borrowers over to Rapid Business Plans, and we will see you next time.